to Fura University self-learning courses. Very happy that I'll be filming here, and actually we're in Toronto, one of the most populous city in Canada, with reaching by now would be more than 5.6 million of population. Right behind me, if you can see the real tall tower you're looking there, it's the most famous one. It's called CN Tower in Toronto. Now I'm going to move my video around so you can kind of see, because I'm actually standing by the lakeshore, one of the loveliest weekends where we're having lovely 20 plus degrees Celsius. Now, Toronto is actually one of the most multicultural cities in the world, with over 30% of people who speak languages other than English and French, both of the national languages or official languages in Canada. So that tells you the diversity of the city in itself. Also, tourism, because of it, it's rapidly growing, one of the fastest in the world, with a lot of the tourist agencies and essentially 250,000 people working over the tourism industry, specifically Brazilians, East Indians, China, as well as South Korea. Hey everyone, so we are still in Toronto, and the fun thing is that in a big city, essentially the most populous city in Canada, you would be able to walk into different sorts of neighborhoods. And so right now we're actually in what they call Little India. It's a few blocks with a lot of the East Indian, mostly restaurants, but also shops. And you would also see bookstores such as this one, the Islamic books and souvenirs. And if any of you are familiar enough with the East Indian cuisine, there are many choices that are 100% vegetarian, or at least when you go into the restaurants and you would be offered choices on vegetarian dishes, which is this cornered restaurant is one such example. Toronto is a city rich in arts and culture, and if you love movies, you're in luck, for Toronto is home to the world-renowned TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, which takes place every September, featuring some of the best films around the world. TIFF also partner up with Human Rights Watch, a non-profit organization monitoring human rights issues globally, and they co-present Human Rights Watch Film Festival that is now in its 15th year. This festival uses storytelling from individuals who experienced human rights abuse, researchers and filmmakers to highlight human rights issues around the world. Here we are at the University of Toronto, and I'm at one of the 3 campuses, the St. George campus in downtown Toronto. The U of T is one of the top 20 universities in the world, with top-notch researchers and programs for students who aim to achieve high. But Toronto is one of the most expensive cities in Canada to live in, so even if one receives scholarship, the cost of living would be a headache for many. To give you an idea, you will need at least 6,400 Canadian dollars, which is approximately 141,000 NT dollars, for 8 months of living there. And this is not including the tuition or rent. I am at Niagara Falls State Park, the New York side of Niagara Falls. This is the oldest state park in the US. Established in 1885, it stretches over 400 acres with close to 140 acres of the park underwater. Native Americans living in the Niagara region most likely were the first to know about the falls, but a French priest first documented about the falls during a 1678 expedition, and the publication of his travels brought Western world's attention to the falls. The Niagara Falls produces up to 2.4 million kilowatts of electricity, and this is shared between the US and Canada. In 1896, The famous electrical engineer Nikola Tesla proved electricity can be transmitted from the falls to Buffalo, New York. Hydroelectricity has since become one of Niagara Falls' most important products. The area also has 14 types of endangered plants and more than 600 flora species. Let's hear the power of the falls up close. Having visited Toronto and Niagara Falls, we now take the 6-hour ride on the train and head into Montreal, the French-speaking city of Canada and the second largest French-speaking city in the world, after Paris. Around 60% of people who live in Montreal, however, are bilingual, and many speak even a third or fourth language. Of the 2 million residents, there are at least 80 ethnic communities in Montreal, so you can imagine the extent to which the numbers of languages are spoken in this city. The body of water you're looking at is one of the lakes in Ontario province. According to the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, they believe the province has more than 250,000 lakes, and this one is called Lake Ontario. Even though Toronto is a city rich in arts and culture, Montreal in the province of Quebec is the one nicknamed Canada's cultural capital. It is home to Cirque du Soleil, the artistically and visually enriching circus performance group, and it is the first North American city designated as UNESCO City of Design in 2006. This designation invites everyone in Montreal, public officials, citizens, researchers, business owners, and designers to better the city's economic and social development through art, film, gastronomy, literature, and music. UNESCO's designation hopes to use culture to support sustainable development of the cities, especially when now more and more people in the world choose to live in the cities rather than countryside. Montreal is one of my favorite cities in North America, and I'm happy to be sharing a few shots from the city itself. I am now in downtown Montreal, standing next to one of the entrances into McGill University, one of the best in Canada. Montreal is also the #1 choice of city to study at for international students in 2013. While university tuitions in Montreal are the cheapest in Canada, living in Montreal is not. Montreal got that European feel, a city that enjoys lively social scenes with people at the outdoor cafes and is rich in festival scenes, from beer, fireworks, and Grand Prix for those who are into car racing, to circus arts, film, jazz, and literary festivals. This is a city that's got a flavor for every one of us. I'm now in a restaurant famous for its poutine, the Canadian fast food that originated in Quebec. It's got French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. A survey found that 21% of Canadians think poutine is their favorite Canadian food, while 14% chose maple syrup. By the way, more than 85% of the world's maple syrup comes from Quebec province, where I'm at. Montreal also has the highest number of restaurants per capita in Canada, and they got menus from literally all over the world. I hope you've enjoyed the videos from Eastern Canada.